Hey everybody, welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for middle of October 2017. This is Ash for the Triple S League, and I'm here as always with Cybsidian.
Hello.
Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, some comedy, some music, lots of fun gaming content. We've got some interesting topics to discuss today, so some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today is Switch, the future of consoles. Why are we, as gamers, okay with spending endless money on loot boxes? And the first thing we'll jump into here are custom controllers in esports. Is it cheating or is it not? Is it okay to modify your controller to sort of gain a technical advantage? We're going to discuss that.
So I think this came out of a recent Smash Brothers competition where they didn't want to allow some really custom controllers. And I don't know a lot about that situation and exactly what was going on with the story, but just in general, do custom controllers give you do they actually give you an advantage? And one of the things that's really important is should people have custom controllers to prevent injury? Because I don't know if you know, but the regular QWERTY keyboards are really not healthy for your pinky and ring finger. They are incredibly unhealthy and can cause permanent damage to your pinky and to your hand because of the way that they force your pinky to underride your central index finger. And this has been it's been talked about a lot, and I, for one, I had constant issues with this when I was doing what at the time what you might call pro gaming many years ago. And I switched to a custom keyboard that is a custom hand grip for your left hand, and all of the keys are spread out in a hand positioning that, the Q, the W, and the E are all formulated, and then everything else is built around that, and your pinky is controlling Control, Alt, and Shift all on a far side away from all of the other keys. So these kinds of keyboards are A, they're hard to get, and B, they really excel at helping noticeable improvement. Noticeable improvement when I was playing, and that was when I was playing PC games.
I just want to say as a general note, if you do a lot of computer work or a lot of gaming, definitely worth investing in a good ergonomic keyboard and mouse to prevent they're called repetitive strain injuries. It's not something you notice right away, but over time, you can get serious strain on your tendons and your wrists and stuff, and it's just really bad. You can have problems down the road. So it's definitely a good idea to look into those kinds of things. But if you are going pro and you want something that lets you optimize your gameplay as much as possible, it would make sense to have some sort of a custom device. But when it comes to esports and what should be standard and what should be allowed, yeah, that's a good question. Do they just typically use a regular keyboard? Is that what they do?
Yeah. But just in general, I thought it's kind of, I think it bears some more thought is do we or should we allow for custom equipment? And we've seen in speed skating how the clickers for the skates, how much of an issue they caused, because when they came out with those clickers for the speed skaters, the speed skaters who had them had a 5% to 10% advantage over the people who did not. And the first year, when only some people had them, everybody was up in arms and saying this should be illegal, this shouldn't be allowed. And then the next year, everybody had them.
Well, see, that is a really good question, because for certain sports and games, you do have a combination of your, the human skill and also then the equipment that you have. Some games, it's irrelevant, gymnastics, swimming, things like that, obviously. Well, I shouldn't even say that, because even in swimming, they you could get a swimsuit that streamlines your body or something that helps you swim faster. So yeah, it is a really interesting question to think, at what point should there be a limit on what you can do to improve your equipment to give yourself an advantage in the competition? And is that unfair to the person who then can't afford or can't get their hands on it? Or is that just, is that just the bricks? Is that just part of the game?
I am very fascinated to watch this progress out, and I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks on this. This is something that I mostly want to hear from other people because it's really interesting. And if you ever want to like just like steamroll people, get like an emulator for app games on your computer, and then use like a controller or a joystick in games that are like flight games or mech games, and just walk around and just destroy everybody because you can outmaneuver them and their stupid little thumbs on their touch screens. Oh, so hilarious. Anyways, moving on.
So speaking of hardware and hardware advancing, is the Switch the future of consoles?
Well, as you know, and as most of our audience knows, we're not huge console fans. Like we like consoles in general, and in the past they've been very helpful to mainstream gaming and help like bring in a lot more money into the industry. And we certainly wouldn't have some games that we have now without it. So in that regard, it's good. But overall, the technology is starting to lag and is starting to create a lot of restrictions for developers. And then also there's this time delay, and now the companies are starting to worry that they're going to have to pump out a new console every 2 years, and the field's really up and down. But there was a recent article where basically somebody was like, well, the Switch is really where it's at as far as like the future of consoles goes, because it's a mobile device with full controllers on top of being able to be, plug into a home port and, play games at a much higher resolution on the television, and then, able to take it with you where you go. And I think this is very true. And I think this is, they had the Shield and some other stuff where they kind of had tinkered with this, and of course the portable PlayStation and that kind of stuff. And they're, for the most part, right generally. There's a lot of room for growth here. But yeah, when necessity drives, ingenuity, that's a good thing. So I think the article was right in a lot of ways, that it's like when you think outside the box of television or plugging into a big monitor or television, or having a desktop, or thinking in traditional terms of what a laptop can do, I think when we move past that, we will see a lot of innovation in new directions.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if you could disconnect the gaming itself, like the playing of the game, from our idea of what a gaming system is. And so if you can have a device like the Switch that's mobile, and that you could also like sling to your TV, you could sling it to your computer or whatever, just play it on the go kind of thing. It might get to the point where maybe your phone is your console. Maybe the console is just an app you download that turns your phone into a gaming console that can connect to a controller, connect to your TV, whatever, right? Like that could be what the future of gaming is. Yeah, I do think that they're going in a good direction with that. I know Nintendo in general they really have stayed on the cutting edge of gaming in terms of how you interact with games and taking things in that direction.
Except for their last console.
The Wii U was it was not it was not the greatest step forward, but they really, I think that the Switch became what they were hoping the Wii U would be, with the whole...
Yes, and I think they learned a lot from the failures of the Wii U versus... Yeah, I think they had a good idea, and then they have successfully started to bridge it. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Switch became, and their success with it, which has been extremely successful. Let's not undersell.
No, absolutely.
Undersell it at all. That basically saved their company and turned it around. So,
mm-hmm. But they've always been willing to try new things in terms of the hardware and in terms of the control schemes and things. Like the Wii, when the Wii first came out, which was, holy crap, like 10 years ago now, more.
Yeah,
we'd never seen that before. Like the motion controller, I think. There had been attempts at it, but
it got elderly people playing the Wii, so that's a good thing. I remember when they took it to all the old folks' homes, and it got these older people off the couch
and swinging their controllers around. No, it is awesome, and it sort of brought athleticism back into gaming. Like you could use it for exercising, and for a while I had a jogging game where it literally, I put the Wii controller in my pocket and, would just jog in place and was running a race on the screen. And it wasn't that thrilling of a game, but was a bit of a motivator to actually get up and get moving and stuff. It was part of like the Wii Fit thing.
Yeah. The only thing I want a VR for is Audio Shield. That game is the absolute funnest. And man, do I work up a sweat when I'm playing it. But anyways, moving on. I hear Cuphead has just sold 2 million copies. So, grats for them.
That is fantastic, and I can't say I'm surprised though. I mean, that game it was super hyped, but it was well deserved hype. I mean, it's a fantastic game. I have nothing bad to say about Cuphead, literally. I can't think of a single negative thing to say about it. It is a ton of fun. Some people are going to have an issue with how difficult it is. Okay, that's fair. Whatever. But I mean, I've loved it, and a lot of people have really, really enjoyed it. And in a lot of ways, it really goes back to kind of old school gaming in the sense of, where games were more about the challenge than they were about progressing, or where progressing was a real challenge. Like there were some old games that you'd find in arcades or on old Nintendo systems that were really stinking hard. Yeah. Like were almost next to impossible for an 8 or 10-year-old kid who doesn't have the level of patience required to really progress anywhere in some of these games. And especially when they had a limit on the number of lives that you had before. Oh man, I remember there was this one game I used to get so mad at because we had rented it. It was like Tiny Toons something or other. It was a Tiny Toons game. And it was a lot of fun, but I would progress like through 4 or 5 worlds and I was doing really well. And then I just could not get past this boss, and then I'd die and you'd have to start over from world 1. So you'd play through again. And the running out of lives thing, that was the source of frustration. And it's not, I mean, that's one thing if you get sent back to the beginning of the world, or if there's like a checkpoint at some point where if you run out of lives, you respawn there. But a lot of these games, you're out of lives, you're done. Or you'd have a limited number of continues. You remember those?
Yeah, I remember there was one game that I was playing that I think it was the forerunner to Duke Nukem, but I encountered a game where when you died, you just resurrected and you never ran out of lives. And I was like flabbergasted that this was a thing. I was like, there must be some mistake. Somebody obviously didn't. Like, I thought I encountered like the best cheat in the entire world. But yeah, no, I remember some of the more brutal games. There was Galactic, and then Noid. Avoid the Noid. Oh yeah. Avoid the Noid.
Even Mario Brothers 3.
One death sends you all the way back to the beginning. It's just all the way back. It's like,
well, even Mario Brothers 3, like that game, that would take hours to complete if you didn't use warps, and there was no save ability, which is surprising because Legend of Zelda was able to save. I don't know why they couldn't have put that in a game that was as long as Mario 3. I don't know why they couldn't have put just built that save thing into the cartridge. But that was a frustrating one because then you'd get to World 7 and then you'd die, and then you'd use warps to get back to World 7 as quickly as possible then, but that kind of felt like cheating. And so I remember the first time I played through the entire game, straight through and beat Bowser, was a magical moment. But anyway, so Cuphead has all of the good the good aspects of that, the really difficult challenge, but without the, you lose all of your progress if you don't beat this ridiculously tough boss in like 5 tries.
I mean, you still have that today. Divinity Original Sin 2 has an Iron Man mode where you play through on this ridiculously hard mode, and then if you die, it wipes your save and you're done. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's annoying about that is that don't try that from the start. Like, I mean, if you try that from the start, you'll be...
Did you try that? Was that like your first playthrough? You tried Iron Man mode?
No. Okay. Because there was so much to do and there was so much back and forth. And then the other thing too is that I was considering it, and I was like, I'll start it on easy. I'm just gonna like get the lay of the land in the first like kind of act and figure out the game in general, because I knew nothing about the game. I hadn't played any of the other ones. And one of the first things I did was I attacked some random thing, and it instantly killed me.
So that would be,
It instantly killed me.
If you don't know that's going to happen, that would kind of ruin it.
Instantly killed me on easy. And then there was another thing you encounter in later on in the game, and also instantly killed me. And I was like, oh, okay. And then later on, even down to the last act, the last couple of sessions before the end of the game, there were some instant death moments by like buggy content, like
Hmm.
just just something would go weird or something would happen and your entire team is dead in one thing. And what was the problem? Positioning. And so you're like, okay, so if you kind of cheated it a little bit and kind of like maneuvered your characters around before the fight, which I kind of felt was cheating. When I first found out that you could like do that, I was appalled. I was absolutely appalled. There was one fight, it was supposed to be like one of the hardest fights in the entire game, and you can get around it by having your main character or one of your characters talk to the person and then just teleport the enemy that you're talking to, just teleport them over a little bit,
Hmm.
and the fight begins and they're dead in one turn. And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
that's not good gameplay, but it's a smaller studio. I can forgive those things for a small studio, and they've clearly said, that it's really buggy. So
Is that still in early access, or is it full release at this
no,
point?
it's full release at this point. They've also sold well over 1 million copies now, and they're doing really, really good. Like way better than they thought, way better than I think anybody would have thought.
Well, and that's the sad thing about that game. You keep telling me how wonderful it is, but it's just got so many bugs, which they're fixing. But it's taking some time. So that's, I mean, that's unfortunate. But I mean, it's obviously still a good enough game that you are still playing it. And that says something about it.
I would say put it on your wish list and pick it up as soon as it's on sale if you want to play a really good RPG. It's definitely a very good RPG, and it's definitely something that most people who are fans of like the old Baldur's Gate stuff, you should really pick it up and play, because it's really quite amazing. So that between that and some other issues with the game, I haven't made any videos on it yet. Yeah, I couldn't get to it as much. I've been really sick lately, so unfortunately, our video content has kind of suffered for that.
So the game that I've been enthralled with this week is, of course, The Evil Within 2, which I actually just bought on a whim, because we were talking about, okay, what's coming down the pipe? What do we want to focus on? What do we not want to focus on? At first, I wasn't terribly interested in playing through Evil Within 2, but then I realized on Thursday night, I was like, oh, it's out. It's just released. I'm going to buy it and play it. So I did, and I freaking love it. It's amazing. It's a little cliched in some ways, but the gameplay just absolutely makes up for it. You don't have any control over your character customization or anything like that, but it's very RPG-ish at the same time, in that the levels are kind of, it's not super linear once you get to the first sort of open world area where you can just kind of go anywhere and explore everything. I was expecting a very, very linear game, and some parts of it are like that, but once you get to this town where you can just kind of explore this whole area of the town, and there are side quests, there's also your main quest, so it's very RPG-ish in that way, and a little open world-ish. I love the gameplay, I love the atmosphere, I love the mechanics of it. It's got a crafting system, it's got a system for leveling up your weapons, leveling up yourself, branching trees, and admittedly, I did not play the first Evil Within game, so I have no idea what of these aspects were in the first game, and I missed some of the story. You can hear my commentary if you watch my playthrough videos where I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to know what they're talking about, but I don't have a clue, and I don't know who this person is and this and whatnot, but I've loved it so far. It's just a fantastic experience, so definitely recommend that title especially if you like. I wouldn't call it scary. That's the thing. It's parts of it are creepy as heck. There's one part that I was almost like, oh, but not from gore or anything, but just they created this one scene that was so disturbing that I was like, I don't even know what to say. But other than that, like, I haven't been startled. They don't rely on jump scares really.
Oh, that's good, because
I appreciate that.
That's something I hate about. I really honestly absolutely hate that about most quote horror games, is it's just jump scares. And I'm of the mindset where it's like, if this is all you've got to offer me in the way of like scaring me, then this is a bit of a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a good pick for the Halloween season. Podcast today brought to you by MMOGamerStore.com, your source for alpha and beta keys for upcoming games, including Star Wars Battlefront 2. Go check it out right now. Last time I checked, there were some keys available for a crazy good deal, so definitely go check that out.
Islands of Nine, they've got some keys for that. Ultimate Escape, its alpha mode has also come out. And then Z Escape Alpha has also just come out. Sometimes it's really hard to get alpha keys for some of these and beta keys for some of these games. Check it out if you're interested. You might find something that you love.
MMOGamerStore.com.
So loot boxes this week have been under the spotlight for quite a few different reasons. There was a ruling that said that loot boxes were not gambling, so therefore they're not going to apply gambling rules to them.
Oh, that's pretty significant.
Basically, the people who implement the rules said, hey, we don't create the rules. As far as the rules goes, this is not strictly gambling. So if we don't necessarily agree with that decision, but as the rules currently exist, it is not definable as gambling. Okay. However, we feel that the people who make the rules on what is and what is not gambling, we feel that they should have a closer look at this.
Okay.
That's more or less what came out about it. So that means that, no, we as gamers will not see a decrease in loot boxes. We now have loot boxes in single-player games, which to me is disgusting. The fact that in Shadow of War, your option is, okay, grind for 40 hours or spend $20 on loot boxes at the very least.
Really? Shadow of War did that? That's...
The fact that that's your option is disgusting. And as a gamer, I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. I really like when I get additional customization. I'm a huge fan of RPGs and character building classes. And if I could make the perfect character in my mind and pay for it, I'm cool with that. That's totally cool. That gives me more options. That allows the industry to make as many wild, crazy, out there kind of things. It says increase customization. But loot boxes are not about customization. Loot boxes are usually about power. Very seldom are they about customization now. And fewer and fewer of them are about customization. It's more like, hey, you want to be able to win the game? Well, here, you have to buy a bunch of these.
You have to... Oh, we thought you just wanted to play it. We didn't realize you wanted to win it. Well,
yeah.
I find that disgusting as well. And honestly, I'm just going to put this out there, that as gamers, we really need to stop supporting these companies that do this kind of stuff.
I was most likely going to get Shadow of War, but no, now I'm not.
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with in-game purchases in general, in terms of, like, if you want to buy some cosmetic stuff or whatever, just to, enhance your gameplay experience in ways that, okay, you get something special, it financially supports the company, you like the game enough to do that. Okay, that's fine. It's pure supply and demand. It's pure, economics. Somebody's willing to buy something. But when they really kind of manipulate you into shelling out this extra money by deliberately making it difficult or tedious to do something in the game unless you shell out that extra money, I find that to be, from a business practice standpoint, that obviously makes them extra money, but what does that say about their respect for you, the gamer? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
what does that say about their opinion of their audience and their respect they have for their, for the people that are buying and playing their games and supporting them? And so, yeah, I agree that that's a disgusting practice that needs to stop, and we just need to stop buying the games that do that. That's the only way it's going to stop. As long as they're making money at it, they will keep doing it.
I didn't have too many issues with some of the ways that it was done in the early days, but now it's getting to the point where it's like, out of a loot box, you can get like 10 items, and out of those 10 items, 9 of them are absolutely worthless. And it used to be that you get a loot box and you open it up and half of them were somewhat useful. Now it's at that point where it's like, well, you open up 20 of them and 90% of the packs that you bought are absolutely worthless. Don't even give you anything. it's not even worth keeping any of this stuff. You're just junking it all.
But I kind of see the point of, the people that passed down this ruling and said, maybe we need to take a look at what the definition of gambling is. Because obviously this loot box kind of system didn't exist when they originally defined what gambling is. But it is a form of, it is gambling in a sense, in that, you are shelling out money and you don't, you're hoping for that jackpot. But I mean, you're getting something, but maybe, if most of the stuff you're getting is just useless, well, okay, you are really just gambling away that money.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say, okay, yeah, they should make this illegal. No, but I just think that they should stop doing it and we should stop supporting it, because I think the way to tackle this is by the gaming community putting pressure on the game creators and saying, no, we're not cool with this. This takes advantage of people who are susceptible to gambling addictions. It's just a scummy business practice. Make your game fair and beatable, and then if we like it, we'll buy extra stuff. Like, we'll buy the DLCs, and we'll buy, you release some custom skins for a few bucks. People buy that stuff.
And I am always up for buying, custom skins.
But make us want to support you by giving us a great game. Don't manipulate us into shelling out extra money just to be able to beat the game you've released that we've already paid for. No, that's stupid.
So anyways, beyond that,
that's my little rant for the week.
So 2 DLCs were announced for South Park. I don't know if it's payable, buy it, but it's got story content and it'll have new content. So that's cool.
The game is looking pretty solid. This is
yes, because what's happened is Ubisoft has given the game out to a lot of people, and a lot of people have had a lot of pre-access to it and have started to review it a lot. And from what we're hearing a lot of good stuff about the game. And I mean, you can watch whole levels being played, and the game looks like it's fun. It looks like it's intuitive, and there's tons and tons of content to the game. So yeah, I think this is going to be a very hilarious game, especially if you're actually fans of South Park.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of cool stuff is coming out for FORTNITE Battle Royale. They're going to have some stats, some leaderboards. They're going to have cosmetics and loadouts. They're going to have progression, and then also mission logs. That's all enormously cool. On the engine side, they're going to have some anti-cheat stuff, some huge server performance, and some optimizations coming out. They're going to have console performance, stability, better memory, and they're also going to reduce the initial download size of ongoing patches and a lot of little quality of life stuff. And
right.
They're also going to increase their low-end PC compatibility and support improvements. So that'll help too, because there's a lot of people who can't run this game well right now because it uses too many resources when technically it doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
On their Save the World side, they've got a whole bunch of new stuff coming to the game as well. They have the Horde mode has just come out. We have not done any content on this yet because of previously stated illness, but we are going to do it now, and now is a great time to do it because this patch just came out, and this allows you to skip a whole bunch of the Horde progression. Because when the Horde progression first came out, if you were a pretty advanced player and you got pretty far in the game, you had to start all the way from step 1 in the Horde modes, which was really annoying for a lot of people. So they have now fixed this. If you were in Tier 3, you will no longer have to do Tier 1 and Tier 2 of Horde mode stuff. All of those rewards will just be given to you, and you will start out at your Tier 3 content. So your journey begins much further on, and you don't have to go back and do the stuff. It's like, well, I got this one gun where I can fire, and it destroys everything. But it's really friggin' boring sitting here firing this one gun and killing it. Like there's no challenge to it, right? So this is really, really helped. So this is cool. We'll be doing some videos on this, hopefully right away. The Horde mode stuff is honestly looks really, really fun. The patch notes have come out. There's a lot of generally really cool stuff. If you play as a ninja, there's a new hero in the Horde mode that allows you to steal energy from enemies around you while you do melee damage. So this, I think, has revolutionized the way that ninjas will play. I think you will now be able to spend a lot of time out in the field doing damage and stuff like that. So this is, I'm really excited about this. Really happy with the direction they've gone with this. Really looking forward to it. Both the Battle Royale mode and the main game. It's great. Let us know what you think about these modes as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Lots to be excited about in the gaming world right now. This has been the Augmented Reality Podcast. As you probably know, YouTube ad revenue is very uncertain for creators right now. So if you appreciate this weekly content, you can support us by going to gawkbox.com/the It's a free way to give tips to content creators just by installing and playing fun mobile games, including things like Angry Birds Evolution and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We'd definitely appreciate it if you checked it out. gawkbox.com/the We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/the And don't forget to like and sub to get all of the latest content from us. Thank you so much for listening. On behalf of Subsidian, my name is Ash and Inity for the Triple S League, and we will talk to you next week.